Well, hello and welcome to the Grey Wolf Garage channel. My name is Colin and I primarily have the Grey Wolf Bike channel where I film mountain biking videos across Canada and the United States. However, if you found this video because you're interested in the title, which today we're going to be looking at the Winnebago Winnie 2108 FBS, then stick with me because I'm doing a series here where we're going to be looking at different trailers that would appeal or potentially appeal to mountain bikers. So we're going to be looking at things like off pavement capabilities, ability to do dry camping, and space and storage and features that might appeal to someone who is a mountain biker. You don't have to be a mountain biker. You can be a rock climber, you can be a hiker or a birder or an outdoor enthusiast, but that is the lens through which we're going to be looking at this trailer today. Also be sure to check out the channel because I will be doing a whole series featuring other brands and trailers that I think you might be interested in as well. Today we are here at Arcan, just east of Calgary in Alberta, Canada, and they are a Winnebago dealer, and they're actually just pulling around the 2108 now. So in a minute, let's go take a look.
Hey everyone, my name is Brock Simmons. I'm with Arcan RV, established back in 1977. It is a family-run business. We got 6 stores in Alberta. And we're here to look at this 2023 Micro Mini 21 FBS. So one of the leaders as far as innovation in the RV industry. Winnebago continues to express interest to all kinds of campers, whether they're off-grid campers, shore power campers. Doesn't really matter what kind of camper you are, and this happens to be one of their most popular models. Popular because of its size, its weight category, and obviously the Winnebago brand. So you're going to be a little north of 4,000 pounds on this. You're going to be in that 23 to 24 full from tip to tip kind of length category there. So it ticks off a lot of boxes. And on top of that, you're getting 2 axles, tandem axle here as well. Both of them are rated for 3,500 pounds. So it gives you a ton of cargo capacity as well.
Definitely. So I'm going to chime in here as well. So one of the features that I'm specifically looking for myself is actually the tandem axles. I've done a lot of trailer towing, and I even own a 6x12 cargo trailer, but I intentionally got that 6x12 with tandem axles. The reason being is that while a single axle is often capable of handling trailers these size, and we'll see that in some of the other episodes, the tandem axles, in my experience, I think most people would universally agree with me, is that they tow exceptionally better. So where the single axles, if you were to hit a crack in the road, often will be a bounce associated with that. Now, a lot of that can be mitigated with like a weight distribution or anti-sway hitch assembly. But with the tandem axles they tend to be very steady. So as one axle goes over that road feature, the other axle is still on the smooth pavement, and they just sort of articulate independently. So it translates into a much more stable drive experience. I have also heard people talk about single versus tandem axles from a fuel economy perspective. And in my personal experience, the number one factor you're going to notice with any trailer is whether or not you have a trailer behind you, not so much the axles, and even like less so the weight as well. So we have experience pulling, a 35-foot tandem axle, 10,000 pound trailer, all the way down to my 6x12, and you would be probably surprised to learn that the fuel economy is actually not that different. So that's just been my experience, but I'm sure you'd probably agree as well.
You hit on an incredible point there.
Yeah.
Tandem axle versus single axle. I mean, a safety thing as well, right?
True.
Would you rather have a blowout with 2 axles or 1?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So what we're pretty much going to do here is we're going to do like a 360 around the exterior. We're going to point out a few features that we think are not only good and reflective of like the quality and what you're going to find here on the Mini Winnie, but also again that are going to apply to a mountain biker. And we could probably actually start right up here in the front storage compartment.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to already point out is actually two things. First and foremost is the thickness of the doors. The actual doors are on different manufacturers are going to come in different thicknesses.
You're usually looking at probably half-inch, quarter-inch.
Half-inch, quarter-inch, and I think this is 1 inch,
yep.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so 1 inch. So it's going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to be much less susceptible to any kind of like warpage over the long term. Two, it's going to be really thermally efficient. So it's, even though this is a non-heated area of the trailer, that's going to help, you know, kind of mitigate that bridge effect where, you know, things above it are really cold. And the second thing I want to point out is the slam latch doors. So not only is that a really strong and durable feature, well, they're really easy to use. It's a magnetic hold on the top. There's no little like kind of like key, like mailbox style keys that you have to turn. That is just, you know, it's, in my experience as well, very good in like cold and inclement weather as well. So, yep. Yeah. Now, as far as the storage space goes, something that we were just talking about off camera is the fact that when you're looking at any trailer from like an adventure trailer, so again, whether that's through the lens of a mountain biker, which is, you know, where I'm approaching it from, or any other kind of activity, whether you're a kayaker, stand-up paddleboard, or that sort of thing, you kind of have to account for two different trips in the same trip. So there's going to be your camping trip, which is where you're going to want things like, you know, your spray ports and your electrical hoses, all that needs a home, your camp chairs for around the fire, but you're also going to want to consider where you're going to put the items. So for me, the way that I'm approaching this cupboard as a mountain biker, this is going to be my camping cupboard. So this is going to be things like my X-chocks for, you know, my stabilizing at camp. It's going to be for my foot pads for, you know, either leveling my tongue jack or my stabilizer jack. This is going to be for camping. So yeah. Anything else we can mention here? I guess we've got the solar.
Yeah. Well, they mount their charge controller for their solar in here, and then, geez, what was it? I think it started last year, 2022, where you get the Tire Link pressure monitoring system.
Oh, right.
So that's what this is here. Now it's just prepped for it as we speak right now. Mm-hmm. You can buy it online. I want to say it's around $350 type deal. Okay. And then that's going to give you an indication if you have any kind of pressure differentiations within your tires while you're driving.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump back in here as well. You might be surprised to learn that actually if you have a blowout on a trailer, it's pretty difficult to tell. This is a 7-foot wide chassis or trailer. However, even my pickup truck, the F-150, that's only about 6 feet wide. So this trailer is about 6 inches on either side, which means when you're looking through your side mirrors, if you don't have like extendable tow mirrors, which you really arguably don't need. I mean, I would never discourage anybody from getting them if you feel like, you know, because there's definitely benefits associated with it. But myself, I won't be using the tow mirrors, but that also means that I won't be able to see my tires from the side mirrors. So having a warning system to let me know, and again, being a dual axle, it's going to compensate. So if you had a single blowout, you know, maybe only one tire ran over a nail and not the other one right behind it, you're going to still have a very level trailer, but you may end up and will probably end up doing damage to that tire if you continue to drive down the road and you don't know that it's deflated. In fact, most modern vehicles, my truck included, will even tell me what the specific pressures are in my tires, you know, on the vehicle. So it just makes sense to have it on the trailer as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, yeah, you know, as far as options inside the pass-through here, there's the battery disconnect, just kind of over yonder. Nice feature, especially if you're planning on, you know what, going back and forth to your trailer from storage. That's going to disconnect all the power to your trailer, not to your solar. So your solar is going to be sitting there running your batteries or charging your batteries, while the rest of the power elements of your trailer are disconnected. So
that's really cool.
You get back from camping, say you're at a half battery type deal, you've been using a lot of energy type deal. Take your battery disconnect, turn that off. Everything else to the trailer is gone. All that solar is doing, especially in the lovely province of Alberta, sunny day like this, is going to do is charge your battery back up for you.
Calgary, most sunny days out of any North American city. So
is that true?
It is true.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure somebody will fact check me in the comments.
So yeah, a fantastic option. People, you know what, even trailers that are being purchased from us that don't have it actually end up going with it because of the benefits from the storage.
Interesting. I genuinely didn't know that. Yeah. Since we're down here, I'll just point out, not to be a human spec sheet, but this is where your propane hookup is. So if you do want to throw a standalone barbecue in the bed of your truck, then this is where you would hook it up here, which is actually kind of nice because it sort of makes sense to have it on the passenger side of the vehicle. We also have stabilizer leg system I don't want to call it a jack because I think that would, I know it is called a jack, but I think most people are familiar with either scissor jacks or these. And actually maybe this would be a great opportunity. So what would be, we see a lot of scissor jacks on maybe more affordable price point oriented trailers. Yep. What would be an advantage to this system?
This one here, they can run independently. They're not meant to raise or lower your trailer. Don't ever use them for that. It's not an actual stabilizing system. Yeah. It's more of a, a leveling / just keeping your trailer in one spot type deal. Because you're going to walk back and forth inside of it, and you're going to go wee, 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 like that if these are not down. So yeah. But the advantage of these is they cover more surface area with the pads. For one. And for two, you just hit a button and they come up.
Okay, yeah, no.
So,
yeah, it's got a tool
and then they also have the manual override as well.
That's right, yeah. I also find, and this has just been my personal experience, but I find that they have really good ground clearance when they're in their up position.
That's true.
So when we're dealing with a trailer like this that is intended to go on what I'm calling off pavement, then having good ground clearance is really important. In fact, if you even I pan behind me, you'll see that the whole trailer is raised. We'll get into that more later, but there is up here at the front, there's not a, the A-frame that would create the front triangle is not mounted and welded below the main frame of the trailer. It's mounted in line with it. So if your vehicle and trailer are articulating through, like deep holes or something like that, or over an object, that's less to get hung up on. So, yeah.
And speaking about that frame, Winnebago does a huck bolt technology within their frame instead of your traditional A-frame that's attached, like you were mentioning there.
Right.
The huck bolt advantage of that is it's significantly more stable, stronger. It's a bolted frame as opposed to a welded frame. So you think about some of the larger vehicles running down the road right now, i.e. 18-wheeler semis type deal. That's the exact same technology that an actual semi uses. So it's sturdy, it's capable of a lot of wear and tear and a lot of beat down. It does cost more, significantly more than the traditional frame. Yeah. It's worth its weight in gold.
For sure. Yeah, it's always good to know where your money's going. Yeah. It's a lot of these things they're subtle. I think, myself, I'm definitely no expert. I won't pretend to be one, but you sort of start to pick up in time and through experience. And actually, I'll even jump ahead again. So on my cargo trailer, I have a black diamond plate here on the front, and I think Winnebago did that before in the past as well.
They did, yep.
I'm getting some nods. Yep. I was looking at this just off camera. This is actually really nice to see because while the black diamond plating is good, I guess, it's still susceptible to rock damage, where this appears to be like a plastic type product. And with the patterning that it has on here, on my trailer, you can see the indents. It's actually quite noticeable on the black diamond treading, whereas I was even coming into this thinking that I might even bedline the front of it, but now that I've had a chance to look at this up close, I'm gonna save my money. So that's really nice to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And actually one thing I want to point out too as well that I don't always see in a lot of videos, it's a really cool topo feature up here in the front. I want to make sure I capture that. I just think that's really neat. Oh, it's in the black too as well.
Yeah.
There we go.
A little patterning.
Yeah.
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 Very, modest changes to their decaling on the exterior of the trailer. Color-wise, not really a lot there. But what Winnebago was looking for, and one of the bigger changes is on the side, and you'll see it in all their products there, is that they wanted to have more exposure as far as their name on the side of the trailer as well.
Interesting.
That's very much an intent from Winnebago. So
right.
They didn't typically have that. You knew it was a Winnebago from the front or from the back, but they never really knew it from the side. So that was and intention from them.
Personal preference, but I actually really like the 2023 graphics. If you're like me and you have been trying to research this trailer in particular and you've been trying to watch all the videos, I want to note just right now that the Winnebago as a good thing actually, has been doing a lot of updates. So like the 2021 was a completely different exterior color. 22 had a different interior compared to this, and 23 is a different interior yet again. And that's not just the fabric palette, but also even the wood that they've used in there. Everything is going lighter, going gray. I happen to be millennial. I happen to like that millennial gray. Maybe I'm a bit of a cliche, but it works really well for me. So this is the 2023 model we see behind us. It is being recorded right now in June of 2023, but we are expecting 2024 models to come out. So, and the Winnebago website is being updated as we speak. So depending when you're watching this video, just be mindful that this is a 23 model behind us. Yeah. So let's continue around the front. 20-pound propane tanks, I think?
Yeah, so the 20's on there. They give you a 30 cover though.
Yeah, okay.
So you have that option to change up to the 30s. You
Right.
just need a little bit longer rod. They actually changed their tank cover here as well.
Okay.
So these tank covers got more of a flex to them, which is awesome for our environment.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, so it's a shorter rod, so you just have to get a longer rod.
Sure.
But you can totally upgrade to 30s there. It has a little bit more flex to it,
Yeah.
which is nice because the traditional covers that you get on trailers in
crack.
our kind of environment, when it gets down to minus 40,
Yep.
tend to get brittle and crack, right?
They do. Yep.
So just a modest change to even just the tank covers, which is nice.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Fiberglass front cap.
Right.
They're known from that. Inside, beyond that cap, there's an astrofoil that runs from the front of the trailer here, directly over the roof, all the way to the back wall as well.
Oh,
so
wow.
if you're looking at what is astrofoil, it's basically, you know what I mean, you see those scenes in movies type deal where they wrap somebody that's cold in like a heat blanket. That's essentially what it is.
I can chime in on that as well. So as outdoor enthusiasts, we would know that as like a first aid rescue blanket. And the main benefit of that is that it reflects the radiant heat back in. So there's lots of different ways that you can keep yourself warm or cool, actually, for that matter, because it would work presumably the other way as well.
Yep.
But yeah, you can trap air that's through like insulation, and then you can also reflect and re-radiate heat, depending which kind of environment you want to keep. So
yeah, so if you're down in Texas type deal, it's 110 degrees Fahrenheit. That's going to keep that from penetrating your trailer to that extent, or keeping that warmth inside.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Driver's side, much of the same, I think.
Yeah, I mean, all you're going to have there is just the rest of your storage. I mean, you can kind of get an idea of where the solar panel is up there. Right. Right. So you have 200 watts of solar right there. It is EcoPower, which is the good stuff as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to almost apologize right now for even bringing this up. We planned on waiting to the end, and we can get more. Actually, what we'll do is we'll get into more details towards the end of the video, but it's worth mentioning that this is the non-FLX pronounced flex version of this trailer. It does come with a 190 watt solar panel. They do make the flex version, which will come with two 190 watt solar panels. The non-FLX, you will choose your own battery that will mount typically just on the tongue jack. There's a spot for it right behind me. Whereas the FLX model will come with a lithium-ion 320 amp hour battery from Lithionics. Yep. And fun fact of the day, Winnebago has actually now acquired Lithionics, and I think that that's kind of a really good indicator for where Winnebago as a brand is going and investing their money quite literally. So I think there's a lot of exciting things to come with Winnebago in the future with regard to that. Yeah. I think single pane windows, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, they are single pane windows. At this point in time, they don't have the option to do dual pane windows in their micro minis.
Right.
They do on their Voyages, which is their top end line.
Okay, makes sense.
Largest trailers they make. So.
And we've got a Schwintek slide.
Yep. I mean, the reason that they do this, the above floor with the Schwinteks, and they continue to stick with that with the micro minis, is literally so that you're not impacting your holding tanks. If you were to go, say, to a rack and pinion system on a micro mini here, then you're going down into the basement, affecting the size of the holding tanks that you can actually have on the unit. The other option would be to do a cable slide system, but they continue to stick with the Schwintek.
So moving down the side of the trailer here, there's two things I really want to discuss down low. And actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up a tripod so I can kind of crawl underneath myself here. So let's see, make sure we got that all in camera. Okay, so having a look here underneath, One thing that you're going to see this segment be defined by are more aggressive tires. So in my sort of opinion, historically we have seen travel trailers which are intended to go down the road 99% of the time and then in through a gravel campground. And then on the far end of the spectrum, we've seen those earth roamer type Australian outback type trailers that are really have pushed arguably the industry into adopting some of the technology from that. And so this Mini Winnie, I think, sits in a really neat and emerging and arguably growing category where we're having these trailers that are becoming more and more capable with increased ground clearance, with the offering customers the ability to go off-grid more and do more dry camping or boondocking, whatever you want to call it. With the Mini Winnie, something that you really want to, or I would like to point out first and foremost, is that this has legitimate Goodyear tires. Now, I'm not out here to sort of speak negatively about certain brands, but there's one in particular that my mom intentionally took off her trailer and put Michelin's on instead from a reliability, because if you do have a blowout, that can do exceptional damage to your trailer. I know that Winnebago does have a galvanized tin underneath instead of just like a plastic wheel well, but the fact that they're using brand name tires, you should hopefully never find yourself in that situation. The second thing that we'll talk about actually is the axles, because most of the trailers in this market segment, in my research, is using a standard leaf spring suspension. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I have leaf spring suspension on my cargo trailer. My mom has leaf spring suspension on her 35-foot trailer. But there are distinct advantages to what Winnebago is doing here. So what's neat about a torsion spring axle is that the actual axle assembly that connects the two wheels is fixed in place. And what actually moves is this piece in behind it, and it flexes up and down. So essentially you have like an independent suspension, where if you had a leaf spring suspension, the axle is suspended, which means that if you hit one pothole on one side of the trailer, it will actually transmit and effectively tilt or cause vibration on the other side. Whereas a torsion spring, again, it's essentially an independent suspension. So just speaking to that ride quality. So, this is the kind of thing that, obviously this will exist on the spec sheet, but unless you know what the benefits are and how that's going to apply to you, then, that can, I think be overlooked. But actually myself, when I learned that this has torsion suspension, I was actually really happy. Out back, everyone and their dog has probably already talked about outdoor spray port shower, so I won't spend a lot of detail time here. It still has a 30 amp?
30 amp.
Yeah, 30 amp hookup. So if you find yourself in a park, I'm no stranger to it. Like sometimes that's the closest to the mountain bike trails, or just kind of the best option that you have at the time. Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna do one more thing here, is just paying note to where the Blackwater tank exit here is. Notice how high and tucked up underneath this Blackwater tank is. So that's your sewage drain. But again, if you're designing a trailer that is intended to go on, again, what I'm calling non-pavement roads, then you want this high, because your trailer inherently is going to articulate independently of your vehicle. And that means that this is going to articulate down. And if you have a really low hanging drain, that could be an expensive contact point. So I think Winnebago has done an excellent job of locating that as far up pretty much as they can. You can't really, from this perspective, you can't make it all the way to the frame rail, because then it would be flat and you would have sewage water just sitting in there. So it does have what I would call like a nice minimum angle to it. So yeah, just another, it's the little things, but the little things add up over time. So
yeah, well, just like the tank pulls there as well,
right,
being inside the belly, which is heated, enclosed. Mm-hmm. That's just something extended season camping that other trailers don't do. Winnebago is obviously purposely doing that to give you that extended season camping. And then you'll see on the inside there, we've got the interior switches for the 12-volt heat pads on the holding tanks as well. Right, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. All right, moving around. So I'd say probably the number one question you're asking is, where do the bikes go? So on my truck, I have the Kuat Piston Pro X mounted to the Pivot V2 swingaway, and that uses a 2-inch receiver. Now granted, the Pro X is available in an 1.25 inch, but I don't have to worry about that because this trailer has a full
2-inch coupler on the back. They also have a full-size spare, which is a Westlake. Interesting. Again, not naming any companies, but this is where your bikes are going to go. So again, worth noting is that, you know, as trailers do articulate, you want to make sure that your rack has decent ground clearance coming out the back, but not every trailer is going to have a receiver at all. You may need to even source custom fabrication, that sort of thing, if you want to even go down that road. Otherwise, you'd be looking at mounting those bikes on your vehicle. So like roof rack, or if you have a pickup truck, like something in the box or over the box. But it's really nice to know that, you know, for my application, I love my tonneau cover, so I can put all of my, you know, my wood, my firewood, or other camp chairs, or my barbecue, or whatever in the back of my pickup truck, and then I can mount the bikes on the back of the trailer. Once I get to my chosen location, I can then just take my bike rack off, and I can mount it right back on my pickup truck, so I don't have to worry about different shank sizes. So even though this is not intended on pulling or towing behind it, it's still a 2-inch for compatibility, continuity. So yeah, kudos to Winnebago for that.
Yeah. Nothing crazy going on in the back. I mean, every Winnebago comes with a ladder, standard. So
yeah,
across the board, regardless of their size, they're just making that easy. So that's one of the things that they do, is they standardize everything. But one of the neat features on the rear side here is their integrated LED backup lights.
Oh, I didn't know they had backup lights. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so those, I mean, you always know when you're behind a Winnebago. They're incredibly bright at night, and you can certainly tell when somebody's braking.
And that is actually, yeah, I'll jump in here as well. So a lot of the trailer manufacturers will source their componentry from the same suppliers, but that doesn't mean that, you know, everything is equal. So taking a look up top, these little round lights creates a really nice aesthetic to the back of the trailer. If it's, you know, I mean, aesthetics are important to me, but that is a premium light option. So again, it's the little things, but yeah, LED taillights, LED marker lights up top. So yeah, using really good quality componentry.
Yep. And then we're back around to the front side. I mean, as far as awning is concerned, they use literally as much room as they possibly could for the campsite there for you.
Yeah.
I believe the specs on it is an 18-foot awning, so.
18? Really? Well, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, trailer's 21, so yeah, incredible. No, that's really nice to see. So yeah, next month, again, recording in June, so we're going to be out in Squishler, Squamish and Whistler.
Squamish combined.
Squamish and Whistler. So let's be honest, it's the coast, it rains. And so the more coverage that you can get, the better. Something else I'm going to point out that's really nice about this particular floor plan is that the door is not located all the way down at one end of the awning or the other. So actually, question for myself, does this auto kneel?
It has the pitch setting.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So that just means if it's raining, what you would do is before water starts to collect, you set the pitch of the awning so that the rain will run off. Some other awnings will have like an auto kneel, it's called. So as water collects, then there's like a spring that it automatically dumps and then it will restore. So just be mindful that if you are like, you know, overnight, or if you're leaving camp for the day and it's raining, just set the pitch so that that water can sheet off, so that it doesn't damage the awning, curtain, or any of the supports. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Let's take a wander inside. I'll go in after you. New color palette for 2023.
Yeah. So wallboard changed, obviously cabinet color changed, your countertops have changed, cushioning changed, and I mean just something as subtle as the floor. Widening the plank on the floor, making the trailer try to feel bigger is all intentional.
And that's new for 23? Yep. Wow, okay, even I didn't know that. Yeah. One thing, again, you know, the things that I like that I pick up on for 23, although I've seen one video of a 22, so I think this might have been like a running change.
Absolutely.
Is the shallow pulls here as opposed to the traditional. I think it's just like really nice and contemporary. But this is the first trailer that I've seen as a 23 where it has both 110 electrical and USB. And if you're wondering, I definitely came in and had a look. I'm not sure if you're going to see this super well. That's a USB-A and USB-C already built into the same plug. So just bring your cable. Don't worry about your charging block at home. So that's super nice to see. So that's both on both sides. Worth mentioning, again, I want to be honest, like in terms of like the pros and the cons. So something that I noticed was that these cupboards will not accommodate a standard hanger. You can get narrower hangers. It's something we talked about off camera. We suspect the reason for that is because if you had the cupboards come out, a few inches further for that full-size hanger, it will inherently inhibit your ability to get in and access the bed. So just be, mindful of that, so you can purchase some narrower hangers. Storage up top, as we know. Yeah. One thing that I really like myself, again, this is a 2023, is that they've gone with a nice continuous style. So this sort of marble look to it on both the countertop and the backsplash. And something else, and this is a personal preference, but it has a square sink. Well, actually, technically it's rectangular, but gosh, so many companies are doing round sinks, and I really don't know why, because the round sinks are almost always integrated into a square countertop. And when you think about like applicability, so the round might look really, kind of cute or neat or whatever. Try getting a cutting board in there. It's going to be really challenging. You're going to be, trying to get 1 1/4 the end, and going with a square sink, and at that a full size, with no divider in the middle. To me, this is actually something that I think is really valuable. It's one thing to go through these trailers and to think about, like what it looks like and that sort of thing. But often is the case that people, a year or two into it, they'll discover, what really works and what doesn't work. And this square sink, in my opinion, is something that really works. So I actually just got back from a trip where I was camping in my mom's trailer. She has a microwave/convection oven, which is what this is. She also has a stove and a traditional oven. And the running joke is that if you want to burn your food, put it in the traditional oven. We ended up making pizza in her convection oven because it actually just did a better job. We put the taco shells in the standard oven one day, and it took a matter of seconds, and they were thoroughly cooked. So the fact that Winnebago has removed that, I don't think is a point of criticism. I think it's a point of praise, because they're looking at what works and what doesn't work and what consumers want to do. But I'm going to go one step further, and I just want to make sure that we can see this. So I'm going to bring you in close. So what they've done instead, by removing the oven, you get a drawer. And it's like, okay, yeah, so what? Next time you go look at a trailer and walk through one or watch a video of one, ask yourself where you put the pots. Because my mom has a 30-foot trailer, and she ends up having to stuff her pots into like a tall vertical cabinet like this, and they're just all stacked on top of each other. The fact that you have a huge, amazing pot drawer, to me, I would take this any day of the week over a traditional oven. And is this, no, this is just access, right?
Fuse box.
Oh, fuse box. Okay, right, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I mean, most manufacturers will leave that open, and that's totally fine because everybody does it. Winnebago intently put an actual panel on there to keep it out of sight, out of mind. It's just more of an aesthetic look at the trailer.
Yeah.
They're looking at that as something that people don't need to see, but they know it's going to be there. So
that is fair. Yeah. For 23, and this trailer in particular, if you're interested, call Arcan. This is a dual fuel fridge freezer. So it is a gas or 12-volt electric. Something we were talking about off camera is that we're seeing more and more 12 volts come in. And actually, I'm going to turn the camera around because maybe I'll turn the floor over to you. I know you were saying it used to be 50-50. Now it's kind of 80-20 going in favor of the 12 volts.
You know what I mean? Being out west, a West dealer, out here, we've been a lot slower to adopt that as opposed to East. East adopted it fairly quick, and to be honest with you, they've almost went 100%.
Oh wow.
West has been less likely to adopt. I feel like there's more off-grid campers out here. They're concerned about a fridge having just battery power as opposed to propane power. That is becoming less and less of I guess, a criticism, which is the reason why we're carrying more 12-volt fridges than gas electric fridges. Two advantages. In the same space, as far as the size of the fridge, you're getting more square footage, cubic footage, I guess, on the 12 volt. So typical 12 volt that would be in this this plan will be 10.7 cubic feet. Largest fridge you can get in a gas electric within the micro minis is 8 cubic feet. So you're getting 2.7 cubic feet larger in a small trailer. The other advantage is the 12 volt fridges, while you're driving, will keep your food cold. You can obviously they're on, they're working off battery power, and you can legally have that cooling your food. Whereas opposed to the other ones with your gas, typically in Alberta you're not actually legally allowed to do that.
I know there's a lot of gray.
How many people do it?
Yes, that's how many people do it versus whether or not you can versus should versus are allowed to, or maybe three distinct things.
There are three different distinct things for sure. Another advantage as well is the cost difference associated with both. To replace a 8 cubic foot gas electric fridge with us, you're looking at around a $45,000 to $5,000 bill, as opposed to a 12 volt fridge, you're looking around $1,200 to $1,400.
Really, that much?
So
wow, interesting. So I've been staring in this direction. This tour is apparently going in no particular order, but that's okay. Obviously, there's going to be storage underneath the bed here. I'm going to just go ahead and flip it up. One thing that I want to commend Winnebago is dual struts. I can't tell you how many trailer review videos I've seen where they only include one, and that's kind of one of the first points of upgrades that people do. In fact, these are so strong that before I even recorded this video, I was cautious about even closing it up. But this is where I personally am going to look at storing my mountain bike helmets. So again, we talked about kind of categorization of your camping accessories versus your activity accessories. And so this cupboard is exceptionally deep. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to illustrate this very well, but I'm going to call this, I mean, it's more than elbow depth. So yeah, at least 1.5 feet, 16 inches, probably 40 centimeters. This is going to be more than sufficient in terms of depth and width to store, your helmets. I mean, as a couple's trailer, the way that I approach any of these reviews is, can you fit 4 helmets, 2 trail helmets and 2 full face helmets? And this will do that with room to spare, significant room to spare. So for myself, this is where I'm putting equipment, and I'll show you a little bit later where we would be putting clothing related to mountain biking. As I close this down and get some help doing that, because they are actually really legitimately strong. This is kind of a point of note. This is something that we've talked about off camera, and it's kind of the wish list for Winnebago. This is a RV queen. This is a 60 by 74. Your standard residential queen is 60 by 80. The difference, for those who are not mathematically inclined, is 6 inches of length. That said, while that may be a detracting feature, don't rule this trailer out just yet, because from a personal perspective, this is something that my mother has actually done before in the past and can easily be done in this trailer. Is that wooden flap that we saw just underneath here. All this is like 7-ply, 3/8 inch plywood. And what you can do is anyone with a handyman can cut one just a little bit longer by the tone of 6 inches. Because something that a lot of people do right off the bat anyways is adding those 2 and 3 inch foam toppers, or just, again, putting this right in storage if you happen to have a basement or something like that, and just going with a full residential queen right off the bat. So one thing that's reason why I said don't rule this trailer out is because where the slide is located, as you bring it in, it will not interfere with the addition of a residential queen. Again, if we were to wave a magic wand, I'd love this trailer to be 6 inches longer, because I don't think that would really impact much of anything to accommodate it. But I'm going to back into the trailer just for a second, because what we're going to be able to see here is, with that 6 inches, it will maybe come close to the doorway. It will inherently, make this feel a little bit narrower, but in the interest of a good quality night's sleep and not having your toes hang off the end, I think that that's something worthwhile to consider. But yeah, not a true 60 by 80, but at least in this particular floor plan, not a deal breaker. If this was a east-west bed orientation and you were maximized wall to wall, then that absolutely, I think, would be worth considering whether or not that's going to work for you. So yeah, don't rule that out quite yet. Turning back towards the dinette though, again, every review video I've ever seen of this trailer likes to point out that there's a cupboard here. They're very deep, yes, you know, all that's good. However, what do you do about the stuff in the back? So I'll actually solicit some help here to show you. Just simply remove the cushion. Yeah, there's a nice plywood lift up and you can get full access in here. So, I mean, I'm already the kind of person that is thinking about how and where I would put all the things that I need. I don't even know what I would put in there. Maybe board games, spare linens, because this will inherently collapse down into a secondary sleeper. Now, it's not going to be a full length. This would be great for kids or for your friend who has had too much to drink and you don't want them to drive. Please drive safely. So in a pinch, you could throw a pillow, a set of sheets and a blanket in here for somebody if they just want to come up for the weekend or stay the night. So, and it's super easy to collapse. And again, it's the small features. There's a handle that you just sort of flip to the left and the whole table will go down.
I put it in the lock position.
Oh, no worries. And what you would do is you would flip up the actual cushion so that it lays down on the wooden sides. But there you go. You can kind of get the idea nonetheless.
Yeah, here, I'll just
Full commit.
go all the way.
There we go. And then we just drop the cushions and then we would take the back panels and fill it in and that becomes a bed. So, and actually it's really comfortable. These are, if anything, I would actually say maybe even more comfortable than the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kudos to that. And then again, we talk about the small things that add up into, you know, meaningful differences. But something worth pointing out here is that this is like the, there we go, try to one-hand this. This is a legless table. So as you're accessing and egressing this particular area, I've heard people use the phrase no knee knocker.
Yeah, they call it a dream dinette is the technical
perfect,
term behind it, but the no knee knocker, absolutely, because you're used to getting pedal stools, 2 of them here, and to be honest with you, there's a little wobbliness to them as well.
Yeah.
This is significantly
Actually, that is
more
really
sturdy,
suitable.
and it allows you the free access of not smashing your knees on metal.
And I'm just going to take just because it was getting glared out, this is the exact same style and probably material as we get here in the kitchen, and then we see again style in the backsplash. So really nice continuity, really light and bright. I will be honest with you, I was looking at 2022 models because I was okay saving $1 on some old stock. I'm not even considering that anymore. The white with the light gray with the lighter woods with the white, this trailer looks so bright on the inside. I've also heard these cabinets be discussed as a green. Yeah, it's a green.
Yep. Exact
like a sage. I mean, it's very light.
Yeah.
It almost reads like a light blue, like almost like a robin's egg in certain lights. So some of these things I know don't always translate super well over camera. And then we're going to move to the bathroom here. I won't spend a ton of time. Really nice shower, although crazy enough, I've actually seen showers that don't have the full plastic liner, and it does have the sunroof in here. So while there is no window, there's tons of natural light. We have 2 ceiling lights here. This is again the non-FLX model, which has the ducted AC, and we'll kind of loop back to that. But if I take, actually, do you know what? I'll get your hand. I'm going to stand in the shower here, and if you could just be so kind as to open that cupboard door for me, the big one.
This big one?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see here up at the top, there is a clothesline, or a hanger rod, I guess would be probably the technical term. This to me is exactly where I'm putting my rotting clothes for a few reasons. So what you could do is you could sort of, you know, I've seen lots of people do those shower bars in here and like drip dry. So if you're riding on the coast and you get super wet, just dry it off in the shower. But this is where I'm putting all my rotting clothes because, you know, if you haven't quite made it to the laundromat yet, you know, this is a separate area. There's a, you know, ceiling fan here. So any kind of odor, you could, you know, slide the pocket door closed if you'd really like to. But this to me is such a huge benefit of this trailer because it doesn't encumber in on any of the other clothing or storage space. It's not like you need this because of a lack of storage elsewhere in the trailer. This is like a bonus to me, but this is exactly where I would put that. So if you're a surfer, you know, great spot for a thick wetsuit. If you're a paddleboarder, you know, maybe your life jacket or something like that goes in, well, maybe not life jacket, you'd probably put that in the storage outside, but you know, how you interpret, how you want to use this space is up to you. But this is where I'm putting my riding clothes because down here, we have another one, and this is more than sufficient for towels and linens. I mean, it's, you know, after all, it's a couple's trailer. You're probably going to have a couple of towels, you know, maybe hanging on the rod here. So spare towels there. And then how I would look at using this space here is, you know, for your toilet roll or any other kind of like, you know, personal effects. It still has a full medicine cabinet up and behind, so, you know, more than what you'd need in terms of like, you know, toothpaste for a weekend or, you know, shaving equipment, that sort of thing. But I really wanted to point this out because to me, that's a big deal. All right, so we're gonna wrap up this review by talking about the difference between the Flex, the FLX, and the non-Flex. This is a matter of personal debate that I've actually genuinely been struggling with, and it is kind of a bit difficult to understand not only what are the differences, but what are the benefits. And you know, you can read the spec sheet, but that doesn't always tell you the full story. So from my understanding, the Flex is going to come with, again, those two 190 watt panels on the roof, so just shy of 380 watts, almost 400 watts of solar. It's going to come with a 320 amp hour battery by a company called Lithionics, which I think I alluded to earlier, Winnebago has actually acquired. So that's really cool that they're bringing that technology in-house. It's going to come, both models actually come with 30 amp solar charge controllers, but it's worth noting that the Flex comes with an MPPT charge controller. Don't ask me what that stands for, I have no idea, but according to Winnebago, the MPPT charge controllers are 99% efficient, whereas the one that's on this model, the non-Flex, is about 85% efficient. So if you're really looking to eke out every last watt that you're getting, there is a benefit. There is going to be a difference in terms of air conditioners as well, and that was actually a big conversation we had off camera before we started recording because, as I mentioned, this air conditioner is ducted. So that means you've got those individual pockets, and the air conditioner will blow it, you know, through like a tube, and then it will distribute that air really nicely through the camper. The Flex uses a Truma air conditioner that is not ducted. So my knee-jerk reaction as a consumer was that that was actually a bit of a step in the wrong direction. But something that I've come to learn is that it's apparently about 1/10 the volume in terms of loudness. So I don't know what your experiences are watching this video. If this is your first camper, I can personally attest that the standard air conditioners, they're quite loud, to the point where the analogy used, if you're watching TV.
Well, I mean, just us having this conversation right now, we could have this on camera right now and you would be able to hear both of us loud and clear and not really have that noise pollution in the background.
Yeah, yeah. There's also a efficiency factor considered as well.
Yeah.
So with the Flex model, while the non-Flex, and this is I think the crux of my confusion, is I was looking at it from a consumer's perspective, and I saw, you know, 30 amp charge controllers and you know, solar panels, and I thought, oh, they're, you know, equally comparable. And I've actually more and more ended up realizing that for myself, the Flex is going to be the more the better trailer for me for really pushing things and going off grid, not powered sites for extended periods of time. So for me, having a more efficient air conditioner is actually going to be really important. All right, future calling here. So I ended up having to cut out a section of this video because I said the wrong trailer name, and then I ended up just confusing myself over my own point. However, one other difference between the non-Flex and the Flex are the water heaters, where the non-Flex uses a gas or electric or a combination of the two, 6-gallon water heater. The Flex uses a Truma AquaGo, which is a gas-only on-demand system or tankless hot water system. Now, the advantage of going with a tankless hot water system over the gas electric is that you don't have to expend energy, whether that's gas or electric, in heating up a full 6 gallons, especially if you just, you know, want to take a quick shower or, you know, run the faucet to clean off your dishes after dinner. Whereas the non-Flex, which again I think speaks to a user who's probably going to be doing a lot of camping with electric sites, or maybe bringing a generator, as well as say equal or less than in a non-electric location, then you have those options. But in my experience with the gas electric 6-gallon tank versions is that we've always ended up using both the gas and the electric as a way to heat up those full 6 gallons quicker, so that when you want to go take a shower, that it's actually warm when you do so. So it is nice to see that from an efficiency standpoint, that the Truma Aqua Go is fitted to the Flex version. All right, so back to your regular scheduled programming. There is also a shower miser system, which is just basically like a recirculating, something we talked about as well, that I think coming down the road, probably you're going to see that on a lot of trailers. Right now, that is a difference between the Flex and the non-Flex, and really what that means is, and I have personal experience with this, with a camper, whether it's tankless or not, the literal distance of plumbing between your hot water source and that shower faucet, that's going to run through. So you'll have that cold water in there. And that might only be 1-2 liters of water, but that's 1 or 2 liters every time you want to take a shower. And that's going to cut into your ability again to be off grid longer, where the shower miser is flip a lever and it recirculates that cold water back into your fresh water tank. And once that blue tube turns to like a gray, I think it is, then you know that there's hot water circulating, and you just flip that lever and you get hot water straight away. So it's I've mentioned this so many times now already in this video, but it's less about one thing, but it's the little things that add up to create that big difference. So hopefully that helps you understand the difference between the Flex and the non-Flex version. So if you're like me and you're reading the spec sheet and you're not quite 100% clear what you needed, in fact, before we even started recording, I said, this trip is as much of a learning opportunity for me as well. So, is there anything that you wanted to add before we wrap up?
Well, also within that is the 3,000 watt inverter as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
Package, so.
Of course. And that's actually really important. So you get a 3,000 watt inverter, but what that does is that powers all of your electrical outlets in the trailer.
Yeah.
And so what some trailers will do, I have been told, is that even if it has an inverter, it may only be a couple of primary outlets and not the entire trailer. Yep. So anything that has a plug, whether you're charging your laptop, if you're trying to do some work on the go, or the air conditioner, even though that's 110, that's going to be pulling from your inverter from your batteries as well. So thank you. That was really important. Absolutely. Anything else you want to cover, address? Final thoughts?
No, I think that that wrapped it up pretty good there. I mean, those are the differences between the FLX and the standard micro mini model there. Pick your poison. Depends on what you're looking at and what kind of camping lifestyle you're wanting, right? If you're going to be away from everybody and you're going to be in with the bears, the FLX is probably a better option there for you. Yeah. Like Winnebago always says, you're going to likely run out of water before you run out of power with the FLX.
Interesting.
And it's true. We've done some tests within our lot. Obviously, we get a lot of sun here in Calgary, but it is doing exactly what it's intended to do: 5 to 7 days off grid, no problem.
Yeah, awesome, brilliant. Obviously, shameless plug, but I mean it from the heart. If you have any questions, please feel free to give these guys a call. Not only have they just been receptive to me and willing to share with you, but I can honestly say the level of knowledge and expertise here at Arcan is second to none. Also, we have 5% sales tax. So, So be sure to give them a call. You're welcome to comment down below, but just you're better off calling them because they're the experts. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope this deep dive on this particular trailer was helpful and informative and gave you something to think about in your own applications. And we'll look forward to seeing you in another one. So you take care, and bye for now. Cool.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.